everybody this morning. I want to call this August 10th, 2026 workshop of the Okaloosa County School Board in session. All right, let's look at our agenda. Okay, so tonight we will have section 2, approval of the agenda. Right now there's no changes, but we'll see how it goes. 3, we have no recognitions tonight, nor do we have any administrative personnel appointments. That takes us to section 5, which is public comment, which would be items on the agenda or the blue card. 6, we have committee and staff reports. And 7, we'll have our consent agenda. So let's go through that. And board members, let me know when you have any comments or anything you need. All right, so 7.1 will be the approval of the consent agenda. 7.2 will be the approval of the minutes of the student disciplinary hearing, minutes of the workshop meeting of July 27th, and the regular meeting on July 27th. 7.3, appropriation of District 2 School Board member capital outlay funds to Kenwood Elementary for fencing in the amount of $1,500 coming from Mr. Destin. 7.4 is appropriation of District 2 School Board member capital outlay funds to Elliott Point Elementary for window coverings in the amount of $1,700 from Mr. Destin. Okay, 7.5, appropriation of District 3 School Board member capital outlay funds to Eglin Elementary for Clear Touch interactive panels in the amount of $11,865.70, and that was presented by myself. 7.6, appropriation of District 3 School Board member capital outlay funds to Kenwood Elementary for fencing in the amount of $5,884, and that's also from me. 7.7, appropriation of District 4 School Board member capital outlay funds to Kenwood Elementary for fencing of $1,000, presented by Mr. Bryant. 7.8, motion to approve, appropriation of District 5 School Board member capital outlay funds to Eglin Elementary for Clear Touch interactive panels in the amount of $11,865.70, and that's from Mr. Heinley. 7.9, appropriation of District 5 School Board member capital outlay funds to Niceville High School for wall graphics in the amount of $19,018, presented by Mr. Heinley. 7.10, budget amendment number 10, fiscal year 25-26, presented by Ms. Perry, Chief Financial Officer, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. 7.11, monthly financial statement ending June 30th, presented by Ms. Perry, Chief Financial Officer, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. 7.12, invoices to be approved for payment, presented by Ms. Perry.
Madam Chair, I have a question on that one.
Certainly.
On the agenda item summary, it says fiscal impact, yes, dollar amount not available or not applicable. But that should be a dollar amount about 70-something thousand, right?
Ms. Perry, if you come forward.
What was your question again?
On the agenda item summary, it says fiscal impact, yes, a dollar amount in A. I think the dollar amount on that summary should just be put in that spot, right? Because it is a 72,000.
Right, the one I'm looking at says the 72, so I'm gonna have to find out what it is.
Oh.
That's,
Okay.
yeah, I'll
All right.
find out what's going on and get that corrected.
All right, and since you're already up here, I would assume you're gonna send some nasty grams to those no PO people?
Yes, sir.
That's my beef. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to 7.13, sole source number 27-04, Everway, presented by Mr. Wyndham. This is for software licensing. 7.14, amendment to ITB 23-04, pest control services for multiple schools, since we're adding on OTC North and Pineview. 7.15, amendment to ITB 23-06, lawn care services for multiple schools, presented by Mr. Wyndham. 7.16, tag on bid purchase over $50,000, Emergis Healthcare Staffing Inc., AMN Allied Services LLC, CRA Therapy, Orange Tree Staffing LLC, Princeton Staffing Solutions LLC, Solient Health LLC, Stepping Stones Group, presented by Mr. Wyndham. 7.17, tag on bid purchase over $50,000, Presence Learning, presented by Mr. Wyndham. This is for clinical speech language therapy. 7.18, exempted purchase Donovan Group 3 LLC by Mr. Wyndham. This is marketing strategies. 7.19, service agreement number 27-71, Allied Instructional Services LLC by Mr. Wyndham. And this is the ESE department. 7.20, service agreement 27-79, Modern Therapeutics LLC, presented by Mr. Wyndham. This is speech language therapy. 7.21, service agreement 27-80, Connect ASL Inc., presented by Mr. Wyndham. This is for sign language translation services. 7.22, service agreement number 27-81, Michaela Andrews, presented by Mr. Wyndham. 7.23, renewal of fuel purchasing agreement between Baker Fire District and the school board, presented by Mr. Wyndham. 7.24, approval of Okaloosa County School District bus routes for 26-27, presented by Mr. Gore. And I know people are waiting on those, right? Starting tomorrow. 7.25, surplus of school buses, presented by Mr. Gore. I was actually excited to see this list, because these buses were actually built in this century, and I remember we didn't have any built in this century, and now we're surplusing. And I think you mentioned we have a new group of buses coming in, right?
Yes, ma'am. And this board remembers, if we go back a number of years ago, we were getting surplus buses from other counties. And now we're over 120 new school buses. I think with this new order, about 130 or so new school buses. So our entire fleet is almost done. So
I love it.
we're in a good spot.
And these ones that were surplus, and do we know where they're going? Are they going to a pool in the state, or how's that work?
They'll be auctioned off.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, since Mr. Gore is here and Mr. Superintendent, if it's okay, could you give us an update on the bus software real quick and how that's working out? Because I noticed, or is that going to be later?
That was coming. We have a transportation
Okay,
update.
Coming.
They have a presentation prepared for you.
Okay, great, good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. 7.26, school to work contracts between the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida and school to work providers to provide career experience opportunities to eligible students at Silver Sands and Richburg schools, presented by Ms. Ard. This is great that we have these partners. Wonderful.
Yes, it is.
7.27, school food services update a la carte pricing for elementary and secondary schools. So this is the pricing for lunches. 7.28, Okaloosa County School District 26-27 Pupil Progression Plan, presented by Ms. Ross, as Secondary Curriculum Director. 7.29, Memorandum of Understanding between the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida, and Central Gulf Industrial Alliance, presented by Ms. Beasley, Program Director for Career and Technical Education. 7.30, Affiliation Agreement between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the government agency with jurisdiction over Okaloosa Technical College and the Lakeview Center, Inc., presented by Mr. Williams, Director of Okaloosa Technical College. All right, moving on to Section 8, Students, Superintendent's Human Resource Recommendations. 8.1, Employees on Administrative Leave, presented by Ms. Lindsay Maxey. 8.2, Deferred Retirement Option Program, presented by Ms. Maxey. 8.3, Addendum to the Master Contract between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the Okaloosa Education Staff Professionals, presented by Ms. Maxey. 8.4, Employment Separations, presented by Ms. Maxey. 8.5, Personnel Recommendations, presented by Ms. Maxey. 8.6, Employee Transfers, presented by Ms. Maxey. And 8.7, Leave Without Pay, presented by Ms. Maxey. 8.8, Employee Reinstatement, presented by Ms. Maxey. So that gets all of our human resources. Finally, we have nothing on our 9 discussion agenda. 10, Construction Program Owners Representatives Business. you will have a meeting on that today, right, Mr. Heinling?
I will, and I'll get that report tonight.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, finally, Mr. McGinnis, your business, sir?
No report this morning.
Thank you. All right, then we turn it over to the superintendent. I know you have some items you want to share with us this morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to share just a few updates. Then we have a few different presentations from different departments as well, especially appropriate based on where we are with the start of the new school year.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to welcome everybody back for the start of another school year. As you know, this brings a lot of excitement, but it also brings stresses. It brings all types of things out at the beginning of a year. And I just want to say just how thankful I am for all the work that's happened over the course of the summer. It seems like it has flown by quickly. June and July went by in a snap. But this is also a lot of milestones that have happened over the course of the summer preparing for this upcoming school year. You think about Pine View's opening, Destin 3 through 5. We have our new cafeterias, many have been renovated. So we have some new classrooms, auditoriums. So a lot has happened over the course of the summer. You're going to hear from Mr. Gore, just the advancements on the transportation side as well. So again, a very, very exciting time of the year. You know, athletics is about to start. Band is about to start. I shouldn't say about to start. They've been working all summer. But just so much good that is happening. I just want to say thank you to our teachers, our staff, our administrators, our district staff, the amount of work that goes into preparing for a school year. I've shared with this board before, sometimes folks will say, and unknowingly, no, do you all work there in the summer? And so much happens to prepare a successful school year, so I'm just very appreciative. Just also excited, last week we had a ribbon cutting, which some of you might also talk about, but just very proud of Mr. Williams over at OTC, new school in the North End, the Okaloosa Technical College. And just what makes me so excited about this is the opportunity that it provides at the North End for job growth. And we know that when these companies are looking for places to start, they want to know, is there a workforce? And this provides a pipeline for those who want to come to this area. So about economic growth in this area. So just very appreciative of that. The stuff, the bus, I know some of you will mention. I just appreciate those who took part in that. And I know some of you will mention that. But then also something that won't get as much attention is our student medical information and parent consent form that used to be done by hand. Now it's being done electronically. We have about 9,000 of those have already been completed. So that's just a big deal of coming into a new wave of where we are today technologically. So just appreciate that. And then the last quick reminder is the sales tax, back to school sales tax holiday still goes through August 20th of this month. So a lot going on. And I want to start with Dr. Small, if that's okay.
Certainly.
And kind of want to talk about what we do in our school district as it pertains to on the mental health side, the bullying side, and just what we've done in the past and what we will continue to do in the future.
So first of all, Dr. Small, you got the memo? Because this is Pine View Week, and we're going to go purple. Thank you.
I love it. I've got a lot of help today that I'm very excited about co-presenting with Terry Schroeder and a couple other guests that are gonna fill your eyes and ears and wonder how you maybe didn't know all of this information before. But it is actually like the night before school. Do you remember being at home, laying in bed, waiting for it was like Christmas for many of us. We were very excited, like Mr. Chambers said, can't wait. And at the same time, there's those stressors, like you said, and I remember going into my 7th grade year, and all I was thinking about was, is anybody gonna notice the scoliosis back brace that I'm sleeping in and I have to wear underneath my clothes tomorrow when I get to school? Is anybody gonna see it? Is anybody gonna ask me about it? What am I gonna do at PE? You know, all of those things, and I think all of your kids and grandkids, everybody's at a different place in their mindset starting school off tomorrow. And I just want to reassure you that this community stands behind all of those kids, no matter what point they are in their mindset to start, whether they're anxious or they're excited. We're here to serve. So we are building a connected district approach for continuing to build safe and connected and ready to learn schools. So what does that mean, ready to learn schools, and why does it matter? It matters that we have students feeling well. Their well-being is paramount to our success working in partnership with them. We know when students are well, we have increased academic achievement, improved attendance and engagement, stronger relationships with trusted adults. Students have a greater sense of belonging in their school community and fewer discipline incidences and bullying behaviors. We want every student to feel well every day and prepared for tomorrow. So this is a connected district approach. You'll see 4 boxes up here. Each are not an individual initiative. These are connected. And with a connected approach, K through 12, we are going to have students who are going to be feeling safe, connected, and emotionally regulated and ready to learn. Let me just paint this picture here, what I mean by this. Let's say, for example, a 5th grader is coming to school tomorrow, they're riding the bus, they get in a little conflict with their friend sitting next to them, they get off the bus, they're a little frazzled, they're walking to their homeroom, they're trying to find their classroom, it feels off. A teacher can either say, why are you acting like that? And treat it as a behavioral concern, or a teacher can be curious about what's happening and ask them and find out, what is your state? Are you ready to learn yet? Or can we just give you a little bit of time? And we can also rely on tools later in the year that we have taught this student so that they have their own tool to step away and self-regulate for just a moment. We also layer in the ability to have this child trust adults, trust other peers to talk about what they need to help self-regulate. And then, of course, when any child like this 5th grader walks into a classroom, they know what to expect in a safe school climate, and things are predictable and safe. So they come now equipped to relax and get into the flow of learning and be ready to learn and receive what information we have to give them. So it's all not about curriculum. It's not all about instruction. All of these things work together so that students are able to receive information. In the first area that I want to share with you about, we have a specialist here. She has got extensive knowledge in her program around the subject of mental health. And we want to share a little bit about it with you.
Thank you, Dr. Small. I am so excited for this opportunity. So one of the biggest hats I wear is, as of 2018, is the mental health coordinator for our district. And I love bragging on our team at any opportunity I get. One of the things related to our mental health program is our team tends to fly under the radar, because one of the things that we want to do is to provide that safe place and recognize that sometimes there is a stigma in asking for help. And so while we have the services out there, sometimes people in the community don't necessarily know about it, because we don't necessarily want the students to feel like there's a stigma related to asking for help. But we do have a fantastic team at our schools. And the focus that we have is prevention. And I'm glad Dr. Small mentioned that teacher, because one of the biggest pieces of our prevention plan is the youth mental health first aid that every school-based staff member has to take. That's a state requirement. And at this point, we are at about 89% of our staff. We are starting the school year with 89%. The state requires 80%. Of course, we're going to go above and beyond what's the expectation. And at this point, we have 89% of our staff that has had the youth mental health first aid training. And what we do in that training is we teach teachers and school-based staff what to look for, how to recognize, how to react, what to do if you see a student or even a colleague struggling in their mental well-being. What do you do when that happens? And so I'm pretty excited about that prevention piece. And again, that has been in place since 2018. So that is part of our prevention. We also want to intervene early. When we recognize or see that a student is struggling, getting in there early before it becomes a huge problem is key to giving that student the skills that they need to overcome. Now, keep in mind, skills are learned. A lot of times they're not just born with how to be resilient or how to resolve conflict, how to have grit and persevere. They have to learn that. We as adults have to learn that. And so we want to get in early and teach those students how to develop those skills. And then sometimes we do have to respond in crisis. So that is our responsive support side of our mental health program. So again, it's a connected approach that we try to look down the entire length of the spectrum on that. I want to introduce you to our team. I'm so proud of these folks. This is our team for this year. Thanks to Hillary, we've got a team picture made on Friday. So these are the faces that you will see at all of our schools. And I want to explain what credentials our team has, because that's important to know the skill level and the credentials that our team has. Every one of those faces that you see right there are either DOE certified, they are what we call a DOH registered intern. Now let me be clear on that. If they are a registered intern, they have a master's degree in that area, whether it's social work, whether it's mental health counseling, whether it's marriage and family therapy, whether it's psychology. But here's the trick. It's 2 more years to licensure. So that piece is where they are getting their licensure. They're pursuing that licensure piece. And so they are definitely still qualified to do the work that we are asking them to do, but they are working towards that licensure piece. And so they do the same work, they do the same skills, but they are supervised by a licensed person. And we do have several licensed people. Actually, I think the majority of our team are licensed, DOE licensed, whether it's a licensed clinical social worker, whether it's a licensed mental health counselor. They are overseeing those folks that are pursuing licensure. So that's where the differentiation is between our registered interns and our licensed folks. So every one of those faces that you see up there have one of those credentials. And that's important for you to know that they are highly qualified and do a great job in what they're doing.
Thank you. This slide is From Support to Success, Mental Health Services and Supports. I want you to be aware of our services, and I'm going to ask a couple of people to come up to paint this picture for you even more clearly. But individual counseling is an option for students, as well as small group support. Crisis intervention is a service. Skill building is a service. And another service is that our mental health counselors refer families out to community resources as needed. They're the connecting piece, because sometimes families just don't know what's all out there in the community. So it's a white glove approach. Why this matters? As you can imagine, students who receive these kind of supports are more likely to attend school, develop healthy coping skills. It's no more like with me, my parents said, buckle up, buttercup, get on the bus, right? There's actually things in place that help all of us cope better, build positive relationships, engage in learning, resolve conflict appropriately, and be successful academically and in life.
So data matters, and I am very interested, or I think you'll find it very interesting to look at this data and how our services have grown over the last 3 years. So we started back in 2018 with the Marjory Stoneman Douglas incident that happened down in Broward County. At that point, our program has grown from where we started at about 10 providers to where we now have 32. But what I want you to see from the 23-24 to last year, the 25-26, is while the numbers grew, the numbers of providers did not. So our folks are working hard out there. I think that says a couple of things. It says that our students are struggling, some of them, and it says that our people are working hard. So you'll notice in that first column, it went from 2,172 students served as an actual, what we call sessions, where they meet with a mental health provider on a regular basis. Now, the sessions require parent consent, it requires screening, it requires a few things to happen. They also see students in other areas such as crisis intervention. We intervene right away. We don't necessarily need parent consent for that because the student's in trouble or they're saying things. When I say trouble, they're threatening harm to self or others. And so they intervene, and we can do that pretty quickly without consent, although we do involve the parent. But these numbers that you're seeing here are just those students who have become what we call a caseload student. That means that they are being seen on a regular basis by our mental health counselors. So the number went from 2172 in the 23-24, and if you look at 25-26, it grew to 2,686. The real interesting number is the number went from 19,532 sessions. Okay, that's where they met regularly, to 25,484 sessions, a 30% increase in a 3-year period. And then you'll notice also the community-based referrals. When we refer to the community, it's usually for a reason that we can't address in the school setting. There are certain modalities or certain treatments that we cannot do in a school setting. Basically, for obvious reasons, we can't prescribe medications, and they may need a medication to deal with whatever they're dealing with. Or there's certain modalities that we can't do with a student and then send them back to a classroom. And so for those, and then the family may request a community provider. So we have a system in place where we will refer them through what we call our Brave Connect it's a program out of the University of Florida in St. Johns County, and they will do all of our case management. They deal with the parents, they get consents, they work with the families on insurance, they find a provider in our community, and they take care of all of that. And again, that's with parent consent, but we have increased from almost 500 in 23-24 to 742 last year. So that's a significant increase of 50%. So that's a lot of increase in what we're providing for our students. What I really, while I oversee this from a Sky High district level, I really want you to hear from the trenches. They're the folks that are out there doing that work, and every day they're living and breathing it. And so I've invited 2 of our folks to come today. We have with us Ashley Roush, who is an LMHC, a licensed mental health counselor, and we also have Jennifer Peck, who is one of our registered clinical social work interns. And so I wanted them to share with you what an average day looks like for them in their school settings. So, ladies, there you are.
Good morning, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
She wouldn't be able to see them.
I know. I was hoping I would be tall enough.
You got it.
So I'm Ashley Roush. I am a licensed mental health counselor. I am currently working in the elementary level. I am at Antioch Elementary School and support Southside as well. I would say there's not quite an average day. Every day presents something different, which makes it interesting and fun. But on the whole, typically what we'll see is scheduling out individual sessions with the kiddos who need more of that individual level support for specific things. There's also group sessions, so I'll pull in maybe kids who are struggling with executive function and kind of put them together. And we'll do groups on that, helping build classroom readiness. At Antioch, we do have quite a few of our CBS units, so I will actually push in once a week to all of those rooms and help support the teachers and students there. Along with that, we do in fact see crisis intervention at the elementary school level. I do the Columbia Suicide Rating Scales. I have unfortunately had students who have had to involuntarily go for evaluations. We also have had students engaging in self-harm, so we've worked with students on that as well. One of the big parts, especially as we start the new school year, we're going to have a lot of kindergarten friends and our younger friends coming in. And so some of that is supporting the behavior that can happen as they make this transition. And so a lot of kiddos work better with co-regulation. They haven't quite gotten to self-regulation. So being a support person for students, but also staff members who may need a little bit extra support with their students at that moment. And one of the nice things, I've been at Antioch for almost 4 years, and I've had students who I've started working with in first grade. We've had sessions, we've done groups, and to see them need a reduction in services, going from that needing me to co-regulate to last year I saw them maybe 3 or 4 times because they're finally like getting in and using those skills. It's fantastic to see. I love that impact piece of student success. But also with that comes that faculty buy-in. Being at a school for a period of time, the staff get to know me, they get to see kind of what I'm doing with the students, and that has helped for them coming to me and saying, hey, I have this kiddo, I'm not quite sure what's going on, they're quiet, they're isolated from their friends, can you check in on them? And so that, again, helps us get connected to students who we may not have been connected to without teachers coming to us and talking to us about what's going on in their classrooms. At Antioch, something really cool that we have been doing the last couple of years, we have Care Crew for 4th through 5th grade. Antioch, we have also done Kindness Club, so it's taking those resiliency pieces and pushing it down to a K through 3rd grade level. And that's really fun because they get to also be involved and they get to also kind of showcase what they're learning about these resiliency topics. And this year we're going to be starting a coffee with the counselor. And so I've created a schedule where, and I'll push it out for parents to come, just have a sit down, 30 minutes once a month to talk about various topics. Right now, some of the key ones are like understanding anxiety, strategies for helping your students who are struggling with ADHD and executive function, impacts of social media on our youth-age children. And so it's, as you can see, just a lot of different parts and pieces that go into it. So it's connection with students, connection with faculty and staff, as well as a big piece is getting connection with the parents as well and kind of making that full circle. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Peck, and I am a mental health counselor at Niceville High School. I'm going into my 4th year there, and secondary is quite a bit different than elementary, and so I really think it's important that you guys understand what we do at the secondary schools. I've also worked at the middle schools, and so it's different. So we have a lot of crisis, and we have a lot of triage at the secondary schools. And so there are 2 of us. Jill Keim is another mental health counselor over at Niceville. And so we were both doing sessions and plugging along, but we were getting pulled for crisis a lot and behaviors and things going on. And so last October we decided to kind of tweak our schedule, and I started doing crisis and triage and still sessions and things. And I would do the assessments on the students once we got parental consent, and then Ms. Keim would pick up the sessions, and that seemed to work really, really well. I want to give you an example of a crisis because I think what I'm going to say next is really important. I had a student who was not doing work in school, not doing work, very unorganized, all over the place, not having mental health services. And one day the teacher just had enough, yanked him in the hall, was yelling, he was yelling at her, she was trying to calm him down. They called me, I went to pick him up, brought him to my office, he wouldn't talk to me. And then slowly he began to relax, and we did some breathing exercises with him, which seemed to help him regulate. And he told me that his father had just been arrested and that his mother had died when he was 6. And father's girlfriend, who had been living with him, had not been seen in the home for 2 weeks since the father's arrest. And so here we go, right? This is a crisis intervention, no caregiver, no one to be in touch with, no relationship with other relatives. And so between the guidance counselor, myself, one of the APs, we located a grandparent. The dean helped out with the disciplinary part of it. We got him organized. The guidance counselor, Ms. Carden, was amazing. And he finished the year with almost all A's and B's, and he lives with his maternal grandparents now. And so it's a holistic approach to this process a lot of the times. Behavior is communication. What are they trying to communicate with us, with the teachers? What is going on? And so I feel like early intervention is such a key piece to getting these kids back on track and connecting with them. And so we're looking at, over at Niceville, some restorative stuff, not saying it isn't going to take place for them being accountable, but we want to look at the earlier we get involved, the earlier we get the parent in, how can we get these kids back in the class and where they need to be? Really, really important. What's going on? Anxiety, depression, is a father in jail, is a mother gone, what's grandparent? You know, there's a lot of things that can make kids act out. So again, this isn't about not being accountable for their behaviors, but we just want to get in there and do a better job of addressing those behaviors and seeing what we can do while getting them the help that they need. The other thing we do a little different at Niceville is our resiliency program, and every month we do grade level assemblies. So we have all the 9th graders, all the 10th graders, and we talk to them about resiliency. We talk to them about things that might pertain to resiliency, and then we show them the videos. And this will be our 3rd year doing that, and it has been wonderful. Kids always come to us afterwards saying, hey, I didn't realize this was going on. So it really opens the communication, and every student in that school knows who the mental health counselors are, right? And so that's a really, really important piece. And then the last thing I just have to share is that we have a great care crew team. Ms. Kime is a part of that. And we have anywhere between 60 to 80 kids that participate in our care crew at Niceville High School. So a lot of really good things, a lot of things that we're trial and error. I'm going to be collecting data on the restorative piece that we're trying to do over there. And I'm hoping I can come back next year and say, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe how well this worked out.
Great.
So thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. And I just want to point out the beauty of this is free of charge to our students. There is no transportation barriers that is sometimes in the way of parents taking students to private providers. And this is immediate help. I don't know if any of you have called for help for the private provider lately, but oftentimes that initial meeting takes 6 to 8 weeks to get a child in for an initial meeting. So these services that you're doing, I cannot thank you enough for having your doors open to our students. You heard her talk a little bit about resiliency. I'm going to have Ms. Schroeder pick up here because this is built into our school system and our network for well-being.
And so several years ago, First Lady DeSantis put out a resiliency program through her initiatives, and then the DOE adopted it, and we now have what they call resiliency standards. And so resiliency is a skill as well. It has to be built. And again, we are not just born being resilient. All of us as adults can talk about difficult things that we went through as we grew up, as we were in middle school, as we were in high school, and then as adults. And every difficult situation that we made it through, we can look back and say, well, I grew from that. Well, I learned that I can survive, or I learned how to persevere, or I really didn't make a great decision there, which is why I had that problem. And now I've learned to make better decisions. And so there are 12 resiliency topics that the state of Florida and Department of Education has put out, and you can see them listed there. And those are all words that I think sometimes we as grown-ups take for granted, but our children need to develop. I will say there's some adults out there that probably need to develop those as well. But if we can get in early and start teaching these kids these resiliency characteristics and topics, then we can help them to learn those things and to recognize those qualities that makes a successful adult. And so these are skills for a lifetime for these kids. And so how it works is the state of Florida has put out a calendar that for every month, they have a calendar and they have a topic. And so at our schools, we address those in elementary school one way, we address them in middle school another way. We're going to go over those as far as how we address them in each area.
Thank you, Terry. In elementary, on the left-hand side, Child Safety Matters is a program approved by the state of Florida. And I'm sorry, I want to read these to you because I want you to understand that these are the topics that are critical for our students, such as personal safety and healthy boundaries. Bullying and cyberbullying prevention is a topic. Digital and online safety, abuse prevention, and trusted adults and reporting concerns. On the secondary side, Teen Safety Matters is the title of the curriculum used. Mental Health Matters, distributed through Compass 360. And these topics include for our secondary students, healthy relationships, bullying and peer safety, digital safety and cyberbullying, abuse prevention, trafficking awareness, and trusted adults, mental wellness, resilience, suicide prevention, and substance use prevention.
So, Dr. Small, on the elementary side, to clarify, those topics are covered through what we call Child Safety Matters, and we have an agreement, which you guys approved last month, with the Emerald Coast Children's Advocacy Center and their education instructors. And so they come in to every one of our elementary schools, all of them, and they teach this curriculum for us, Child Safety Matters. They also partner in Walton County, so that I tell our schools it's real important that you get on the schedule early because we want to get them in and get them started over here first. But I do appreciate the partnership that we have with the Emerald Coast Children's Advocacy Center and them coming in. And I will say, it never fails that every time they show up at a school, there's a disclosure. A child may say, well, I didn't realize that was wrong or that shouldn't be done to me. And so we are making children aware of what safety looks like for them, because we do know that some of them come from situations that they aren't aware of what safety looks like. The other piece of resiliency in our elementary schools is done through our PE classes and in partnership with our mental health counselors in elementary, with our school counselors in elementary, and with our PE coaches. And they take those topics that you saw on the previous slide, they will, in a PE class, once a month, go with what they call in elementary school the word of the month. So, for example, in August, the word of the month is resiliency. So they'll start right away, and they'll start scheduling those times where they get out with those PE coaches, and they show a book. We read a book that was recommended by the Department of Education's Resiliency Toolkit. They'll read that book. One of our mental health counselors, Brooke Budney, has posters made that gives examples that the kids can look at. And it's interesting to me because I can walk down any elementary school campus, and when I'm walking with one of the mental health counselors, they'll say, oh, the word of the month, Miss Budney, is, and they know what that word is. And she'll stop and she'll say, so tell me what that that means. And so the kids are getting that reinforcement. They also do an activity at PE that helps them reinforce that particular topic for that month. And so that's how we manage it or how we teach it in elementary school. Then for the middle schools, we're doing teen safety matters. That takes those topics a little bit deeper because some of those topics, while they're covered on the elementary side in child safety matters, we have to be age appropriate. And that's what this state approved curriculum does, is it takes it K through 5 at the level of the student. And then in middle school, we all know that it gets a little bit more difficult and the topics get a little bit more deep. And if they don't understand it, we need to be face to face. So what we decided to do last year was bring teen safety matters and have our own staff present that. And the reason we did that is because we know that kids need to relate to who, the older kids anyway, need to build those relationships with who's talking about those difficult topics. And so in teen safety matters, we have an administrator at the school site, we have a mental health counselor, and we have the school counselor, and they all collaborate. And this is part of the required instruction that we are supposed to do, that the standards of the 5 hours, you've heard of the 5-hour required instruction of mental health and all of the other topics you see there. This is where that piece comes in, and so that meets that state requirement, as well as getting those topics into the minds of our middle school students.
Thank you. We also, you may have heard earlier, a reference to Care Crew. Together, we are trying to build belonging among all of our kids. And Care Crew stands for compassion, acceptance, resiliency, and empathy. And I want Ms. Schroeder to tell you about this amazing program that so many of our students are involved with and that others benefit from being on campus.
So Care Crew is, and you have a little flyer here that I handed you in the packet, and then you also have this handout that talks about the care effect. So a couple of years ago, we decided to move in a direction away from what we had as far as Hope Squads, because what we wanted to do is we recognized that our state's resiliency standards were really good for kids. And so we wanted to keep the peer-to-peer support in place, but we also wanted to strengthen our resiliency instruction and make it a peer-to-peer type of facilitation of that. And so what our Care Crew is it still is that peer-to-peer. And I want to be clear, we are not making counselors out of children. That's not their job. What we're doing is we're helping children to recognize what they need to do, because we do know that kids talk to kids. And so we do know that kids need to recognize, what are they going to look for? When do they need to tell their friend who is sad, or their friend that, like Ms. Peck described, when does that student need help? When do they need that trusted adult? So in elementary school, our Care Crews start in 4th grade, and they take those resiliency characteristics every month and they build on them. They're the ones that we teach lessons specifically to go out into the school population and demonstrate what does that look like. Have the conversation, have that connection with their peers to perseverance. You have a friend who's struggling with passing that math test. How can I help you? Or here's what you can do. Give it another try. Practice it again. Or, the grit. Let's do this differently. And so we're empowering our children, our students, to be that person to help their peers recognize those resiliency standards. And then also, if you'll notice, what we call the care effect. So in elementary, we still use the see something, say something topic because we want them to understand, tell somebody if you're concerned about your friend. But in middle school and high school, we're using what we call this year the care effect. And the care effect means to catch. So catch it, be observant, catch that friend of yours or that peer that's struggling. Approach. When you see it, go to that person. Hey, are you okay? Or what's going on? You seem a little down today. The next one is respond. Let them know that you're listening. Let them know what they can do. And then we're going to encourage. We're not going to counsel them. We're not going to teach them to be counselors. We're going to say, let's go talk to Ms. Peck. or let's go talk to our school counselor, or ask, who's your trusted adult? Who can you talk to about this situation? So we're encouraging our kids to help their peers get the help that they need, because we know kids see the social media, they see what their friends are posting, and they also hear what's going on in their communities at school.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Ms. Schroeder.
Certainly.
So at the very beginning of this presentation
Yes, sir.
here, you mentioned something about how we're modeling at the state, on a state level. Can you kind of explain how the state has that, what their criteria is and how we,
Or
what you were just talking about here?
the care effect, this is ours. This
Right,
is,
but you said that it's modeled, resiliency standards.
yes.
5
so-
hours or something like that.
Oh, okay, yes, sir. So the 5 hours came along probably, again, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where we are required to teach certain standards for a total of 5 hours. They include different topics like mental health awareness, it includes the human trafficking prevention, it includes social media. There's just several different topics in that, and so we are required to teach those specific topics over the course of the year that totals up to 5 hours. Does that answer your question? Okay.
The reason why I asked that, you said there was a resiliency at a state, there's a state standard on resiliency.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So all
I
of
just
those
wanted
topics.
that clarified. So-
There is, and all of those topics that you saw, the state has a calendar month by month of those words, so you'll see them listed there. That's the state's calendar in our picture. So every month, that's the topic that the state has put for the month of October is honesty. I love November because it's gratitude. Now, I will say, the state also has topics for June and July. Obviously, we don't have kids in school there, so what we ended up doing is we combined them so that we're covering all of the state's topics in a combined school time frame. Did that answer your question, Ms. Bryant?
Yeah, so you can imagine throughout the state of Florida, the Department of Education, every kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they're all receiving the same topic across the state of Florida, from the Panhandle down to the Keys.
Okay.
All right, so what's new this year? Another added layer of connection and prevention. When I talked to you before, you may remember that in elementary, one of the new initiatives is the morning meetup time. This is different than what we have been doing because we have carved out intentional time every single day for a morning meetup. And what this does is it gives the teacher and the students time to check in with each other about their well-being and to connect not only with the teacher, but with their peers in that community time. This helps build a sense of belonging. You know the names of the kids in your class. You know what they like. You know who they are. They know you. This helps also reinforce behavioral expectations and gives time to practice kindness, self-regulation, and positive social skills. And in the middle school, same concept, just a little bigger kids, but homeroom time is built in every day to strengthen connections in the classroom community. Participate in intentional community activity building with each other during this time, practice self-control, respect, and responsibility with their homeroom teacher and their peers in that classroom. And this time helps develop those conflict resolution and problem-solving skills that are so desperately needed with our adolescents. The difference is, this year it's intentional time every single day, every single middle school. So I want to talk just for a second because, how do we know this is working, right? This framework is only as valuable if we can determine that it is making a difference. So we will be looking at attendance rates, behavioral and discipline numbers, student belonging and engagement, access to support, tracking staff implementation, looking at our academic indicators, and of course, student and family voice. We shouldn't expect that one initiative is going to magically move the metrics. But we should expect that all of these layers with a coherent district system, that we should see improvements. And we should be able to identify the needs and connect people with the resources that they need. When I see this picture, I love this picture because I can see students who are happy. I see students in this picture that have a friend, and sometimes it only takes one. It's our job to acknowledge that there are challenges. They exist. But our job is to continue and to be relentless to create even stronger systems. One connected approach to student well-being, belonging, and success. We're here to serve. We're here to teach. We need our students ready to learn, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you, Ms. Schroeder, for your help, and my mental health counselors, the entire team for academic services. I appreciate you pitching in and helping paint the picture.
I do have a question. On the requirements of teaching all this in the 5 hours, who teaches it? Which teachers? Who's responsible? What happens?
So it's a different approach at each level. So for example, in K through 5, there's certain things that are required. The Children's Emerald Coast Children's Advocacy Center teaches the requirements but that's not in the 5 hours. The middle school, the 5 hours is 6th through 12th grade. So the Teen Safety Matters covers the lessons that we teach in Teen Safety Matters equal the 5 hours. And we keep the data. Schools send to me how many students participated, what percentage, so that, because we do get audited on that. And
But again, which teachers do that? Who's responsible?
Teen Safety Matters, it's an administrator, a mental health counselor, and a school counselor. Then in the 9th through 12th grade, we use what's called Compass 360. Those are online modules that are done. Each high school does it a little differently. You heard Ms. Peck share that they do it in an assembly at Niceville High School. So she does that, and Choctaw does it a little bit different. They do it in certain classes, and again, it's an online module, and the teachers are told that if a student struggles, has a question, then they contact the mental health counselors at that school. So we give high schools the freedom because obviously they have other requirements as well, but we do monitor monthly the participation and the percentage so that we can make sure the modules are assigned by month to every student based on grade level. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then one other sheet I want to bring your attention to is, again, another requirement that is in place is that any student that gets referred to mental health services, we are required to provide a community resource page to the families in case there's any other family member that needs services. So we have put this sheet together of community resources. Obviously, these are folks that we have kind of pulled, that we've identified in our community that takes our students or have been in partnership with us in the past. If somebody in the community is new or they contact us, we will add them to that. The requirement is just that we provide them a resource sheet. And so this is what we do. But when we refer to community-based for our students, we go through that BRAVE program, and they will do all of what we call case management. They will work through the insurance pieces. This is just a sheet that we give you guys, and we also keep it on our website for families that need a quick resource for other services in our community. So if you guys know of any other services we need to add, feel free to let me know. We update this anytime we get somebody that says, hey, could you add this, could you add that?
And Mr. Chambers, I don't know what you want to direct, but I think this might be good. Most of the schools do a newsletter. If maybe at the beginning of the school, this couldn't go home, that way they could print it out and the parents have it. I know it's on our website, but they're that immediate school is what they're gonna pay attention. I'd like to suggest that maybe this go out in that newsletter near the first of the year, if that would
ma'am.
work.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I would just, no, sorry, go ahead, Mr. Hanley.
I have a couple questions, or a question and a statement. So at the very beginning, we had some numbers you had put out there between the years, and we had an increase. Do you have a feeling for why the increase, or is it mainly because the availability of the programs are more readily accessible, or, I mean, what do you think?
I think it's a perfect storm. I think that there's a lot going on with our kids in our community. I feel like, and there's no data to support this. This is what I've experienced since I've been doing this role, but I feel like kids are getting access to more things that kids shouldn't really have access to. Their minds are not necessarily prepared for that. I feel like the stigma on mental wellness, I think we've done a good job. Our team has done a good job to help reduce the stigma of asking for help, and so kids know that there's help if they need it. I think the fact that we've got more providers out there from the time we started has been helpful, and I just feel like kids recognize they need help. So,
No, and I would add on. And so you look at where we are in society today, and you look at social media, you look at certain students who may not be kind. You look at family dynamics, you look at things that happen within the schools, and then you look at the fact that we have mental health providers, social workers, school counselors, administrators who are there for our students. So we live in a society where these types of topics are becoming more prevalent, which is why I'm proud of the work that this group is doing and proud of the work that's happening at the schools, because it is out there. When I go out and speak, I say, there are things that we're doing at the school level, but we also have to be able to partner with families, partner with the community as well. It takes all of us together to wrap our arms around our students when it comes to where we are in today's society. So I think it's all encompassing, but again, just proud of the work that our team is doing to help students. And again, it's not easy. It's not easy at all when you're talking about this type of topic. Not easy at all. It's not easy for adults, let alone students.
And I agree. I just want to tell you all, this brief, I mean, the work you're doing, and this brief just alone, this brief is worth a lot to me and the YouTube crowd out there. They need to see this. I mean, we do a lot, and you're under the radar. So I want the public to know all about this. This is really good information of what you're doing and the hard work you're doing in the district. So thank you very much. It's educated me.
thank you, Mr.
Well, thank you both. It's fabulous.
Thank you for your time, and we hope to start the school year with harmony and peace.
Absolutely. That's it. So.
And with that, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, so I'd like to transfer into, Mr. Bryant brought up the topic, and it's very appropriate. As you know, students will be getting on school buses tomorrow. And I'm just, again, I'll use the word proud. A lot has occurred within transportation. I won't even say just over the summer. I will say over the last year or so, with them preparing for our zoning, them preparing for new technology on buses, then preparing for new bus routes. So a lot has occurred. Turn it over, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Good morning. So before Ryan gets going, I want to thank him and the Transportation Department. They have put a lot of work in preparing for the first day of school tomorrow morning. So thank you, Ryan. They have updated the routes. That was a big initiative this summer, and that's been communicated to our families. The bus drivers have had their training, and they're ready for our students to get back. Just two more points that I want to say and ask if anybody's listening out there to be a little patient the first few days of school as we get back to our routines. Also, slow down if you're driving to the schools. Watch out for our students at bus stops, getting on buses, and our bus drivers learning the new routes. So if you have to leave a little bit early, do that this week. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate Ryan. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I appreciate the few minutes to just give you a current state of our operational status, and also Mr. Bryan will lead into some new initiatives, trying to steal our thunder this morning a little bit. So what you have here on this slide is just a broad overview of transportation in general. So at the top, you see our 2026-27 goal. Any initiative, any decision, anything that we did this summer for this school year is focused on innovation, making it safer for students, and also it's the focus on the student, whether it be the bus ride being more comfortable, whether it be communication with parents, getting them to school quicker. So the focus is always on safety and efficiency. So that is what our driving motivation was this summer. Mr. Chambers touched on this morning already, and it kind of goes back to the modern innovation. We have, since 2021, we have had 119 new buses delivered. We have ordered actually 131. I snuck one by him. He was not aware. We were able to get our order in quick enough before prices rose, so we could fit an additional bus in our budget. So we do have 131 that have been ordered. So 12 on this order. We expect to have them anywhere from March, April timeframe once we place that order. So we should be getting that next order in the springtime. Currently, we have 203 buses in our entire fleet. On any given day, we have 158 that are on the road every day. That includes regular buses and our medical buses. We keep 45 in reserve. That's in case we have an accident, a breakdown. We have to pull buses in for inspection. So we do keep 45 in reserve for unforeseen circumstances. Obviously, in the north end, you have your 3 zones. In the north, we have 102 buses. There's 79 in the primary fleet. This next order that we just placed will get our 3 last remaining non-AC buses off the road. Our 3 that do not have AC, we keep those on short routes, primarily morning, because obviously this time of year it is hot. So we do accommodate the allocation of buses for that. Central, we have 41 buses, and in the south end, we have 60. All of those primary routes are AC buses. So, as you can see at the bottom, on any given day.
So every bus right now is air conditioned?
-3.
-3.
We've got 3 in Crestview that are non-AC that will start the year that way. Once our order comes in the spring, we'll cycle those out.
Awesome.
On any given day, we're driving 567 routes. There's 288 in the morning, and then we run those same routes again in the afternoon. That number does fluctuate throughout the year. If we hire additional drivers, the number of routes may go up, or if we lose a driver, that number may go down. So that number is in flex constantly throughout the year. On any given day, we're transporting approximately 12,800 students, which is a large portion of our population. Comparatively speaking, across the state, we run a high percentage that ride our school buses, which is a good thing. That's still the safest way for students to get to and from school. Mm-hmm. Last year, we drove 2.5 million miles approximately. So when you think about field trips, morning routes, afternoon routes, weekend trips, extracurricular activities for athletic teams, 2.5 miles. So I'll say this, accidents do happen, fender benders happen, and the goal is 0. But when you look at the number of miles and the exposure to error and the variables on the road, our drivers do an outstanding job every day.
Mr. Gore, go back one. And I just want to just simply repeat it. You look at 576 routes daily, and that's a lot. You look at 2.5 million miles. I mean, to me, that's staggering. And again, we all know that we'd love to have even more bus drivers, more bus aides. And I just want to reiterate what Mr. Gore just said. You know, with all of the totality of what we're dealing with those types of variables right there, just the work that those individuals do, just outstanding, and appreciate that. That's a large number.
So this summer, obviously we had a big undertaking with route development. with our north end with Pine View and our south end. And so it was a total redo. And so we looked at everything was on the table. I said, we're gonna think outside the box, we're gonna adjust, this is our chance to make things better efficiently, safely. And so, we operate a 3-tier route system. And so what that means is a driver, and the reason I say this is sometimes we get calls from parents and they're kind of shocked. They don't drive just one school. They'll drive 3 separate schools. They'll go to, let's say, Niceville High School in the their first run. Then they may go to Ruckle Middle School. Then they go to Blue Water. So they're running 3 routes. And so when delays happen, let's say we have a 10-minute delay on Tier 1, and then that puts them late for Tier 2. Let's say that's another 10 minutes, and then another 10 minutes. That's how you get those 30-minute delays you hear about by the time they get to that 3rd tier. So when we developed our routes this summer, when we looked at them, one, we used our transportation reservation form. We appreciate the parents that responded. That's something we implemented last year. We saw a good return on that investment. We got to be more proactive in our routing. We still had surprises, we always will. But we had a much clearer and firmer picture when we started the year, so that cut down on the adjustments that we had to make on the fly. We also look at historical ridership. Obviously, that's a good data source for us when we design the routes. We assume that if they rode last year, they're going to ride again next year. The variable, sometimes high school, they may get the driver's license and cycle out. But our elementary, middle school, that stays pretty static. Over the summer, once we developed routes in all 3 zones, we do route evaluation. So we have our software platform that helps us develop the routes. But also, software can only go so far that doesn't have that human touch that knows, hey, you don't want to try to turn left on Highway 85 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So we bring those people in to evaluate the routes once we develop them. The primary goal is safety. So sometimes you'll see a route that on paper is like, that does not make sense efficiency-wise, but it's safer. So safety is always the priority. In our back-to-school meeting, we preach back to basics, back to safety. My mantra, and Mr. Chambers, you may not appreciate this, but I said, I don't mind if you're 15 minutes late if you do it safe. I'd rather you be safe, not have an issue, than try to be on time and be in an accident, and now you're going to be an hour late and with potential injuries. So
I would agree with that mantra.
Yes, I figured you would, but 15 minutes is worth it to do it right. That's the goal this year, is to do it right, do it safe. After the first week of school, we're going to let the dust settle. We will adjust routes. We try not to adjust routes the first week of school. The reason being is if we have a surprise and we make an adjustment, and then another surprise pops up, we make another adjustment, your route is constantly in flux. And so we like to let the dust settle. Let's see who's going to ride. The first day is a little bit of a false flag. More parents take their students to school the first day. The second day is when we get a truer picture. And as the week progresses, we have a much clearer picture. So we don't want to go adjust the route 3 times. We want to get a good picture, adjust the route, and then we set it and we go from there. They will change throughout the year. Sometimes students get added. The bus will become overcrowded. We have to take a stop or 2 off, or we may have to add a stop. The bus may be under capacity. And so we will make those adjustments. What we like to do, though, is make those in a more controlled communication to the parents, where we're not going to change it on an afternoon and start the next morning. We'll give it a 24-hour window to notify the parents. Technology, we're always trying to be proactive in our routing. I think technology and the investment that we have made with our routing software and some initiatives we're going to talk about in a moment is going to help us be more proactive versus reactive. And so that is what we're trying to get to. The staffing update, this is still a challenge. Currently, right now, when we start the school year, in Crestview, we will have 47 drivers. We will have 9 routes that are not covered currently. In Niceville, we will have 18 drivers with 6 routes now covered, Fort Walton 33 with 8 routes now covered. And I say that not to be doom and gloom. It's just a reality that we're facing. So when everybody shows up to work, if we're fully staffed, we are short drivers. How we accommodate that, we do have office personnel to drive, we have mechanics that drive, we do have routes that we can consolidate. We don't like to do that because that leads to longer run times, which then leads to students being late to school. The worst thing that we can have is what we call a double run. If you hear that, that's a bad term for us. That means the bus is going out and doing a run, dropping kids off at school, going back out and doing a second run. That's when the delays start to stack up rapidly. So I will say it is a true team effort. Our drivers do an outstanding job. Our mechanics and our office staff, sometimes they get overlooked a little bit, and not taking anything away from our drivers, but they will drive around in the morning, come in and do their office work or mechanic work, inspecting buses, making repairs, then they may go back out that afternoon. So oftentimes they're pulling 12-hour days without that break in between. And so it really is a true team effort to make that happen.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
So I'm looking at the, you're talking about the staffing shortages, and of course, I'm gonna zero in on Crestview since that's my area. Out of those 47 drivers, are you saying that 25 of them are actually coaches and all that?
No, sir. Actually, what that's saying is we have 47 drivers.
Okay.
And then we also have 25 coaches in addition to those 47 driving. If we did not have those 25 coaches driving, it would be a much more severe issue.
Yeah, and I agree. We should thank our coaches who are taking up the routes there. Even some of our assistant band directors are driving. So,
yes.
So we have, like you said, it's a team effort. So yeah.
Yes. In terms of what we're doing to recruit drivers, we appreciate HR. They've helped us with several job fairs. We did get a good response. We had one at the end of the summer to try to draw some in. We do have some in the pipeline, and what we do to help streamline the hiring process is we have our own trainers. We have our own CDL trainer that we can get them their CDL. We have individuals that go and get certified to be a third-party tester is what we call it. So they go to a class. They can then test somebody for their CDL. So they act as an entity for the DMV. So when we get them in, when Ms. Maxey's crew gets them hired, we can put them through our class, our training process, and we can test them, and then we can get them on the road. So that helps streamline so we don't lose them in that hiring process. For communication with parents, we will be using ThrillShare again this year. We found that to be the most effective way to communicate. We had an older software platform where parents had to sign up. Obviously with ThrillShare, they do not. We push that information to them. We did hit issues where parents unsubscribe from messages. So a lot of times they would call and say, we're not getting the message. We would walk them through how to resubscribe. So for anybody listening out there, make sure you have resubscribed to ThrillShare for this year. That's how we'll be communicating late bus notices. All right, now to the fun stuff, Mr. Bryant. So 2 years ago, we transitioned to a new routing software called TransFinder. TransFinder is the big umbrella for our whole routing software package. So the first slide you have here is probably the most relevant to parents right now today. This is on our transportation website where a parent, they can go to our website, they can type in their address. It will tell them their child's bus, the bus stop time, and also what schools they're zoned for. So I know the print is small, but this would be an example of the little green little pin right there would be the address. The yellow square would be the bus stop. And then it also shows the 3 schools for which that student's zoned for. It's going to give them the bus number and the stop time for the morning and the afternoon. So we encourage parents to go out there and check it today. Obviously, we've tried not to make any changes, but we are making a few tweaks right now. So we encourage them to go check it this afternoon just to make sure they've got the accurate information. This was in place last year. Just wanted to throw that out there as a good public service announcement. So where are we headed? So this summer, what we were excited about, and I'll tell the route coordinators, probably the most dangerous time of year for them is once the year starts and we get through the first FTE, the dust settles a little bit, I have time to think, which is dangerous for them because I start thinking of new ideas. So I know we're short-staffed. We know that the resources are limited, but it's always about how can we get better? How can we be more efficient with what we have? And so I've got out there and researched other districts and what they do. And so what we were able to do with the support of Mr. Meyer, Mr. Chambers, and the board, we were able to go out and purchase tablets for all of our buses that are primary run buses. So what that means is these are not for our medical buses. And the reason we did not do medical buses is those routes are door-to-door pickups. And so if the driver is running late, typically they're communicating with that parent via cell phone. So the communication is more real time. So what these tablets do is they provide turn-by-turn directions for our drivers. And it also provides real-time updates for parents on where the bus is located, the estimated time of arrival to stops, and it also will give them geo alerts when they pass certain points on the route. So last spring, we piloted it on 10 buses. We did 5 in Crestview, we did 3 in Fort Walton, we did 2 here in Niceville. And so we tested it out. We got a couple drivers that volunteered to do it. We got some parents to sign up for it. I had some test students in the app, and we tested it out. We tried to find any pitfalls, any snags, and there are some issues. There are going to be problems. You have cell connectivities in certain parts of the county where it's going to be difficult. Eglin Air Force Base, we put one out there just to see what the signal would do. There are going to be some spots where it cuts in and out. Got a call this morning about one up in Laurel Hill, and it's going to cut in and out a little bit. But nothing that said, hey, we need to pump the brakes on this. So we did have tablets installed on all of our primary run buses this summer. The drivers have been trained on it at our back to school meeting. And I know my message to the drivers and the department, because I know this is a big shift for them. To go from no technology to a lot of technology. So I said, I want just 4 things. Turn it on, log in, navigate your route, tell me the problems. We know there's going to be problems. So anytime you do something with technology, there are issues. So our plan to roll this out, just for everybody's information, the first 2 weeks of school, we're just telling the drivers, turn it on, log in, navigate, communicate problems to us for 2 weeks. Any problems we cannot fix in-house, we have the vendor, a TransFinder representative is scheduled to be on site here a day at each shop to troubleshoot any problems that we cannot resolve ourselves. Also, there will be voluntary additional training for those drivers when they're on site. So week 3 will be more intensive training if they want it, helping us troubleshoot anything we can't resolve. Then the first week of September is our plan to roll this out to parents. And the reason we did a delayed launch, not because we want to hold it back, I'm ready to push it out there. But we want to get all the behind the scenes issues fixed, because if it doesn't work when it goes out, then it's not going to be used. And the goal of this is to be able to proactively communicate with parents. We want them to know where the bus is at. We want them to know what the estimated time of arrival is. It's to make their life easier. It's to make them feel safer about where their student is at. And it's also about helping that driver when they're driving the route. If they don't know the route, they're not familiar with it, they can pull that route up, and it's going to tell them how to drive it and navigate it.
Mr. Gore,
Yes.
take a question?
Absolutely.
Is that all right, Ms. Van Jessica? So look like the tablet, of course, has a camera, and there's a device to the left of that. Is that related in any way?
That is the power source. You're going to get me to a techie tech question.
I'm curious about it because do you know, is the tablet's camera always active?
So it's not a camera itself. There is a camera app on there that can be used, but once you pull the actual Wayfinder app up, it's called Wayfinder for the driver.
Right.
Once you launch it, that's the only app that's active.
I see.
So
Okay. And just out of curiosity, do you know, is it using Google Maps or Waze or any of those things?
it's using Google, as my understanding is the app that it's using. So
Okay, good.
and the cell signal, the cell card, it's a multi-provider card. And that was one of the conversations we had with the vendor, is if we go to a spot where Verizon is stronger than AT&T, I want it to pick up that stronger tower.
Good.
So,
Okay, all right, thank you.
so what you have here, just a screenshot or a look at what a parent may see on the app. So last semester when we were testing it, I'd pull this up in the morning and afternoons, and I could watch the bus navigate along the route. I set up a geo alert. I'll set up an ETA alert. It will provide push notifications to those parents. The company TransFinder does provide tutorial videos and materials for the parents. I've been in communication with Mr. Mears. We're going to work on a big publication of that information to parents once we're ready for that to go out. So we do have that material prepped, and the alerts do work. I tested it last year along with several other parents. Not saying it works perfectly. Okay, anytime there's tech, it's not going to be perfect.
There might be some lag.
There could be. For the most part, it was pretty up to date. I used Baker as my test area just because I felt like the signal may be a little spottier. And believe it or not, it was pretty on point for the most part. So what will happen that first week of September is parents are going to be invited to use Stop Finder via email. And the reason we send it out via email is we will send that invitation to custodial parents. Okay, we don't blast it to any contact on a student screen in focus. They have to be a custodial parent in focus. They have to have linked that student, working with Mr. Hughes up in programming services. We want the information to get to parents, but we want it to get to the right folks, not just anybody. Now, the good news is once a parent downloads it and sets it up, they can share that with anybody they want to. They can share with an aunt, they can share with an uncle. We felt like that is their call to make, not ours. So custodial parents will get that invitation. And again, the goal is we want to provide drivers with a piece of technology that can benefit them and let them focus on driving. If they're driving a route they're not familiar with, we want them to be confident on where they're going. And then also the ultimate goal is to proactively communicate with parents. We want them to know where the bus is at. We want them to know they're coming. Delays are going to happen. That is going to happen. That's just a fact of life. But we want to be able to communicate to them once we know that information, we want them to know it as we know it.
Madam Chair, may I ask Mr. Gore a real quick question?
Sure.
Can you hop back 2 slides real quick?
One more?
Maybe one more back, and then we may, okay, go forward again. I'm sorry, I'm sitting on a wild goose chase. My question is specific to how close in real time will our custodial parents have to say the bus is exactly a block away, or is it down to feet? Is it within a general? Because my only worry is there's like a security component to that kind of makes me nervous.
So you have two things. You have an ETA alert that you can set up, or you can do a geo fence or a geo alert, and you can expand the scope of it. So you can set a geo alert and make it 1,000 feet, or you can make it 200 feet. I'll say in testing it, I would say it's pretty spot on. When it hits that, it gives me the notification. The ETA is a little more of a guesstimate because it's going off of the speed limit and then also the mileage or the feet based on what's in our software. And so that's why when we're talking to drivers, a big emphasis is communication, because we're really gonna focus on, if we develop your route sheet, we need you to drive the route like it's on the route sheet in the software. If you deviate, now all of a sudden the computer's saying what's going on.
Sure.
And so we're not saying we can't make changes, we just have to know those changes. And so, and I will say, I appreciate Mr. Strong's support, OCA, he was on board. He and I spoke about this throughout the process. He's also been a collaborative partner in that, so truly is a team effort. But the alerts, to answer your question, they are, I will say instantaneous, but we're not talking about a 10-minute lag either.
Do the delay, when a delay is communicated, is there a reason for the delay or just says delay? And gives you the specifics of like ETA and that's about it?
It's just gonna say the ETA. You do have the option to push out messages through the app. However, and our goal is to get to that down the road. But again, going back to parents have to download it, set it up. And so if we use that as our primary point of communication, now we're going backwards on, we may be getting 30% of parents notified versus 95% through ThrillShare.
Sure.
So if we can get 100% participation, then we will certainly transition to that. And we tell them the reason for the notification in ThrillShare. We will be running that dual system for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Madam Chair, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, Madam Chair, but I do have a comment. Well, maybe it is kind of a question. So it looks like it's running on the same technology as like Uber, for instance. I use Uber quite regularly when I'm out of town, and you can actually watch when your driver's coming. Is that kind of basically the same technology that?
It's similar, and so and one of the concerns and what we've told the drivers is, if you're not navigating your route, we're not seeing where you're going, because they do have breaks in between their routes sometimes. They may get 20 minutes, right? And if they need to stop and use the restroom, get a drink, that's totally okay. When that bus, when they navigate that route, when they pull the route up and hit navigate, now they can be seen in that parent app on where the bus is at. And we tell them to do that when you're starting your route, because also we want parents getting good information. We don't want you to navigate your route and sit there for 20 minutes, because you're getting ready to start your route. But I would say it's similar. I'm not as techie as you on the Uber, but it is similar in nature. Once they're on the route, then yes, you're seeing that in progress.
Well, and I saw this technology in operation last week when I was out of town on vacation. We were on a charter bus for a couple of days, and they had the tablets up there. Mm-hmm. And, the private business that was running the buses, they used that so they could stay, so they could see where the buses are, and if they're, because we were all on a tight schedule, so that way they could see if there was any incidences or anything, they could communicate to the driver, hey, this is probably need to go this way, or the tablet would tell them to, go somewhere.
It would. If we need to divert around, it will reroute you back to your stops. Right. And so we feel like this is kind of phase 2 of where we were trying to go with our tech piece. I won't tell you about phase 3. I think always leave a cliffhanger, so you will leave them hang one for more.
Well, when you were talking about the first 2 weeks, if it's, my understanding, you don't want the drivers to deviate in any way. You want them to go exactly the way.
Correct. Right. And that just gives us better data to make adjustments as we need to.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gore. All right. And probably one of the
Superintendent, I just had a quick question. We talked at the beginning, we have a continued staffing shortage on school bus drivers. Can you, and I think this app is going to be terrific. I think it's going to be well needed. The communication's positive, but it also may acutely enhance for our parents in very real time how much of a challenge it is for us to manage all of this with such shortages. Are you able to give an update on where bus driver recruitment stands with regards to some of the incentives that maybe we've got coming down the way with increased pay, things like that?
So I think that's a good transition. So I think some of that will come with the hiring update, and we can also help fill some of that in.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Good morning. And yes, Mr. Dustin, so we did do the job fair and we got 6 drivers out of that. We are going to do another one of those in the south end. We haven't exactly decided on the timing for that, but that we are going to do another bus driver job fair where some of those in the south end can come and try out driving the bus. And then also, we had our negotiations with the support union this summer, and out of those negotiations, bus driver pay was on that item. So on the board meeting tonight is that ratification document, assuming it's board approved, and then it goes through the association's ratification process. The bus driver pay would be increased significantly up to $18.11 per hour. So we were very excited about that, and we do think that that will assist in trying to recruit bus drivers. And then we do also have, and this is where I may have to get you the exact numbers, I don't know this off the top of my head, but we do have the bus driver sign-on bonuses. So that is in place. So we pay for your CDL training. We've got those sign-on bonuses. And what Mr. Gore was talking about earlier is a change where you can go ahead and get hired on as a school district employee while you're getting your CDL. And that was a new initiative that we took place last year to hopefully you can go ahead and start the benefits waiting process and become an OCSD employee while you're getting the CDL, and we'll pay you during that time. So those are all the things that we're currently have in the process to help get bus drivers.
That's terrific, thank you.
Quick question, Ms. Maxey.
Yes, sir.
Of course, you talk about the incentive of us paying for the training.
Mm-hmm.
What is the parameters? How long do they have to stay employed with us as far as their training that we're paying for, that they have to stay on board? And if there is a time frame, do they have to pay that back for that training?
My understanding is there's no time frame.
Okay.
I would certainly love it, and once they ride with our babies, I know they're going to love it.
Right.
And stay with us. Okay, so we'll transition to overall hiring numbers. So right now for instructional job openings, we have 31 current openings, and I wanted to break that down for us a little bit. So that's 7 elementary, 3 middle school, 4 high school, and 11 ESE positions. So it's not unlike last school year at this time. We were sitting at 26, so similar numbers. We are putting together a team in HR to go and look at these specific openings. For example, I think at the high school we had a math position. And so what can we do as human resources and partnering with the district admin to say, okay, let's go out and find a math teacher, and getting that detailed with some of these things. So we are planning to continue our recruitment efforts as we move forward through the school year. Some of these are also long-term sub positions, so maybe those folks that are finalizing their certification, getting them through the process. So those numbers are very fluid for instructional. And then to just give you an idea, we have hired 130 new teachers this summer. So I'm excited to welcome all of those new faces back with us this school year. And for support, we have 40 job openings, and that includes 18 paraprofessionals, 8 cleaners, 2 custodians, and 5 maintenance staff. And so there are some things that were in the ratification document that'll be before you tonight for the maintenance folks as well, and we're going to start working on some new initiatives to hopefully get some of those guys in as well. We are working on it.
Any questions? All right, and then just the last update really quickly is our quarterly risk management update.
Hi there, good morning. I'll try not to drag it out. So a couple of things I just wanted to mention is how risk management protects the district. So we're protecting the employees by supporting our injured employees with timely care and safe return to work practices. And I've got a couple of active issues and how we're going to bring that sentence to life, because sometimes we say a lot of things, but we want to make sure we're backing it up, right? We're protecting our district's assets, protecting our taxpayer dollars, and then supporting safer schools with identifying risk, strengthening safety practices, and then fostering a secure learning environment. So I do want to remind you about the FSBIT renewal we had a couple months back. So it was a great savings of $1,062,563. How did we do that? We had said we had partnership with FSBIT, and they had partnered with Fleet, so they gave us a cost savings in our admin fees. And then, of course, we had property valuations, and the market was softened with the property value, so it alleviated some of that pain that we were seeing in the past with those numbers. And then in June, I was able to work with the Workers' Comp Division with the state of Florida, and we had to present a drug-free workplace packet and a safety packet outlining everything we do in every department for safety purposes, and we are able to save 7% quarterly on our workers' comp fee. So I thought that was great. We're able to do that. And then just FSBIT offers some really great trainings, and throughout the summer they did what was called Huddle in the Harbor. We talked about slips, trips, falls, crisis management, vacant building protection, AI, cyber preparedness, and roof inspection program, and what to do about those things. So some of those things I just take a little bit from each, bring it back, and try to see how we can implement it. Our workers' comp causes for fourth quarter, as you can see, the slips and falls in this category were high. Really, it is 71. The rest of these are a lot lower. So really what we're trying to do is try to focus on ladder safety, ergonomics, slip prevention, and classroom safety this year. For our top property and casualty causes for the fourth quarter, you can see auto liability is really high, but just remember that even though that's in the $236,000 category, it's only a few. It's not very many. And the reason being is, a bus is very expensive. So if a bus gets into an auto collision, then we're going to be paying costly fees on that. A lot of stuff we're able to do in-house. Our mechanics are able to take care of it, but if it has to go outside of us, that's when the insurance gets really, really involved and then takes it from there. I do want to spotlight a partnership with Custodial. Dustin Keith was able to put together a safety program this summer and invited risk management to be a part of that, which I was ecstatic to do. They haven't done that in a really long time, and it was voluntary. They did not have to show up, and he had a ton of people showing up. And our custodial staff, you can see in this picture in the middle here, there's a gentleman on the left. His name's Swifty with Imperial Dade, and Dustin invited him to come, and they actually had different training sessions throughout that time period where they stripped an actual floor, like a section of the floor, and they had people come in and put their hands on the equipment and showed them how to do it. And it was just really invigorating to see how exciting they were to be there. I got the opportunity to work with Mr. Strong over here for our union, and he agreed to let us do a reimbursement to our custodial staff members up to $40 through our safety fund through FSBIT to reimburse them for tread safe shoes for this school year. So they can get one pair up to $40 through tread safe shoes. So I just thought that was a really great initiative to start for them. Considering there was a few slip, trips, falls that it did involve custodial, where maybe they didn't have proper footwear. Could be Crocs they were in, whatnot. And if you're mopping the floor and you have Crocs and your foot slips out, just is what it is. Right? So we're going to try to mitigate that. So here's some more of those pictures of those safety meetings, and then the top one is the big one for me, the safety data sheets. We actually have that online now, and so there's a QR code that's going out on posters to all the schools to put in the custodial room, so they can just scan those QR codes and have their safety data sheet information quickly at their fingertips. The next one, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Meyer and Bobby McElroy for having us at the maintenance safety meeting. And we wanted to really honor the fact that it's really hard to see on the screen, my apologies, but there's a slip, trip, fall significant here that's not the same thing as it is in the teacher zone of when they're in the schools. This one is kind of like when your sidewalks are uneven. or if you're going out for fire drills or those types of things that the students do, and maybe teachers could, there's a hole in the grassy knoll somewhere where they're out there, and they may have hurt their ankle or whatnot. Those were costing us about $250,000 plus a couple years ago. Mr. McElroy came in and really put a lot of initiatives in place to even out those sidewalks, make sure the holes were filled, those types of things. And now we're much lower. We're in the 30,000s for that now, so it did really good. So we wanted to honor him and his foreman for that. And then just continuance, that safety meeting, we were able to have Mr. Rick Patrick come in, Fizbit, Dave Mathis, and then the foundation also honored the maintenance man with a special tool that day. So the Okaloosa Foundation, that was really awesome. One of the mottos that we have under HR this year going into the new school year is people first, process focused. And starting last year as kind of an initiative to get to this point was we gave these trophies and risk management out to a couple of principals. Principal Nuss has arranged where he has the teachers nominate their peers and they fill out slips, place them in a jar of something positive they've seen the teacher doing. They put together a basket for them, and then they give that away each month to a teacher, and it's just help let them know that they're, proud of them and what they're doing, and I see you, I see what you're doing good things. And our next one is Mr. Harvell. He's done that too, but he's done the parking space. He's given his own parking space away in a goodie bag, and then the trophy as well, and they just pass it off month to month. So I just thought that was a really great thing to see that that's happening throughout our schools. When we've contacted other principals at other schools, they've said that they also have something internally that they do, maybe not so much to the point of a trophy such as this, but they do have other measures they're doing as well. So I also wanted to just say thank you to Mr. Gore for letting us come to the safety meeting at Transportation last week. I didn't have the chance to put it on here, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we got the chance to talk to all the bus drivers about the Department of Transportation that's going to take place at our new health clinic in January. So we're leading up to that point, working out some things to get to that. And so we'll have the DOT physicals and the drug testing out there as well, and they were really excited to hear that. Looking ahead, we're going to expand our safety training, continue our property protection, improving our claims, and then strengthen our school partnerships, as you saw before, and just make sure we keep working with those different departments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cato. And you can see just by the 4 different presentations, the different departments all playing a critical role in the success of the school district. So just appreciate that time.
Absolutely, that's great. Thank you. Okay, so now we move to board members' comments. Dr. White?
Yes, ma'am. I just have one quick announcement, and it's a statement of thanks to the retired Choctawhatchee teachers who stuffed over 100 faculty goodie bags awaiting the teachers when they arrive. So that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Bryan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, welcome back. It's going to be an exciting year. I concur with what Mr. Gore said there at the beginning with the bus routes. With everything that's going on tomorrow, have grace and compassion with our schools, with our staff in the district, everywhere around. Just have some grace and compassion. It's not going to, as much as we hope it's going to be a perfect day tomorrow, it's not going to be a perfect day. It's going to be a challenging day, but please have grace and compassion for those who are taking care of our most valuable assets in our society, and that's our children. I would also like to congratulate Jody Dunn and the Crestview High School Big Red Machine. We had the pleasure of going out the other night to watching the 2026 edition of the Big Red Machine. And I bring this up only because we have made a vested interest in music and arts over the years to the point to where we have some of the best bands, the best choirs, the best arts departments. And I'm so excited that we've made that investment in there, because if you could have seen what we saw the other night, over 300 students in 2 weeks put together the performance that they did the other night is incredible. It takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of dedication, but it also takes the parents who are encouraging their children to take up this particular the band, for instance. So, we thank the parents and the grandparents, all the custodial people who help make that happen. But it was just an incredible event, and I know a couple of my colleagues were there, Mr. Heinley and Mr. Destin. But we were also, me and Mr. Destin were at Choctaw High School the other night, and we did get to see them practicing, and, just to see their faces and how much they are just anticipating that first performance that they're going to do here soon. It's just really exciting. And if you notice, I'm going to start doing something a little different here. District 4 schools, I have Richburg's shirt on today, and I just wanted to give a little highlight like Mr. Heinley does with the presidents. I want to do with some of the schools that I represent. And as you know, this is Lance Richburg School, which is our school that accommodates our special needs students. But there's a little history behind that. A lot of people might not know who Lance Richburg was. So Lance Richburg was the superintendent of Okaloosa County Schools from 1948 to 1964. He oversaw the district at a great time where there was a lot of growth. He was responsible for 17 new schools. Not all of them happened during his time, but they happened a little bit right after he was superintendent. But another cool thing about him is that he was a Major League Baseball player, and he played for the Boston Braves from 1927 to 1931, and in 1928, he hit for .337 in the National League for the Braves, and was fourth in hits in the National League with 206. Another little bit of history is that before it was Lance Richburg School, junior high school, it was actually Crestview High School. And it wasn't until 1968 when we opened up Crestview High School that it became Richburg Junior High. And then in the late 80s, I believe it became Richburg Middle School. And then eventually it became Richburg School that it is today. They started out as the Roadrunners, and they are now the Lions. But I will just say that's a little bit of history about Lance Richburg School. I will just also tell you that Mr. Harvell and his team have done an amazing job of getting prepared for this year. We always talk about all of our schools, and not all of our schools are general education. We have Richburg and Silver Sands that tend to our special needs students. And it's such a great program that we have there. We're approving a lot of the workplaces tonight that these students get to participate with, and we thank those businesses that allow these students to come along. But I encourage you to, those that are listening, if you really want to see what's really happening in our schools, take a visit to Richburg or take a visit to Silver Sands and see the incredible things that we are doing at those schools. So, but that's a little history about Richburg, and I thought it would be interesting to share. The good thing is he was a Brave, so that's pretty cool. And the Richburg family, I know, was very proud of their dad, and he did have a lot to do with Okaloosa County Schools. So, and that is it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Destin.
Well, that was pretty cool. I didn't know any of that. That's really great. I don't have anything that I got to do this morning, so I'll just save anything I got for tonight.
Okay, Mr. Heinley?
First thing, I'm missing the report on donations over $500. I guess we'll get that next meeting. None? That's the first time since I've been on the board, so. All right, number two, and I think the chairman's going to talk about it, chairperson's going to talk about this, is Stuff the Bus. Is that on your agenda? Okay.
Yeah, you can comment.
Well, attended that. Great turnout. It was a lot of fun. It was very hot. A lot of participation on that. Number three, we just want to mention the OTC ribbon cutting was great. I mean, I was so impressed with that place. Good facility. A lot of people there. It was a good event. And then going to the lifelong learning. Today is the 10th. So board members, who was the 10th president of the United States?
Dan Buren,
Negative.
Tippecanoe, and
Tyler?
Tyler, two. All right. So,
Hint there.
10 plus 31 is what, Mr. Destin?
Oh, you want to get me with public math? It'd be 41, right?
Very good.
Okay.
Who was the 41st president?
Defer to co-counsel? Carter?
Go ahead. 41 is who, Carter?
No, Ford.
Ford. I don't know. I'm not sure.
George Herbert Walker Bush.
Oh, Bush. Okay, yeah. I should have known that.
We should
all have.
We should have
No, no, yeah. Hey, we're rusty or something. All right, thank you. Okay, and actually, I have some comments, but we've been here a little bit, so I'm gonna save for tonight, because we got Pine View and all that, and I'll mention that tonight, so we'll go. All right, moving on to that, 14 will be public comment. This will be the yellow card. We do have a public hearing item tonight at 5:15. Public hearing for the revision of School Board Policy 06-37, Electronic Resources Technology Acceptance Usage, Use Policy for Employees, presented by Mr. Spolsky, having to do with VR glasses, right? Okay, so we'll have that at 5:15. Okay, let me ask if there's anybody in the staff that has anything they'd like to bring out. Mr. Strong, come forward.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for having me this morning, Chairman, members, Superintendent. I just wanted to say thank you to y'all and just recognize Lindsay. I think she put together an amazing negotiations team this year. I feel like using the word difficult. This was but it was a very difficult or challenging year this year. With some of the cuts that I know the district had to make. And I think that the team put together a lot of thoughtful issues, great exchanges in the meetings, and opportunity to try to correct some of those things that hopefully will make a difference when y'all go to hire and retain. So I hope we see some of that with drivers, maintenance, others. I will say this, just to remind you, this is the year where Florida goes to the $15 an hour minimum wage. And as you know, we were a little bit ahead of the curve on that. And as that minimum wage gets closer to that in the state of Florida, it reduces our starting wages. And so we've got some challenges before us. In the next few years, and I know we can rise to it, but I appreciate you working with us on that. And I did want to say some great stuff going on. I want to jump up here to the mic and encourage you and district staff, teachers, support across the district when you're bringing some of this. The mental health piece, I want to say availability and awareness. I mean, those are two things that we have an opportunity to make a difference in Okaloosa County Schools. For the custodians, you know, we reorganized several years ago, and one of the pieces of the reorganization was district-wide standards. We've gotten away from those, and Dustin tried to bring some of those back. Shoes, easy things like that. I think we had a custodian fall last week or week before last on some stripping some floors. I think she had a concussion from that. So those are things that we can do that are easy and that make a difference every day. So thank you for that. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Strong. Okay, with that, I think we've covered a lot this morning, a lot of great things, right? Now get ready for the start of school, and just reminding the public that our meeting is tonight at 5 o'clock. And with that, we are adjourned.